Well, greetings, everybody. Welcome back to another video. In this video, um, I have um, an iPad that I've been waiting to get in my collection for quite some time, and it's an iPad Air, fourth generation, in blue, which is the most desirable color. And yes, it's on not only iOS 14, which is the first ever version for the iPad Air 4th Gen, but it is running. Let me just unlock it, of course. Um, it is running iOS 14.0. Look at that. iPad Air 4th Gen, iOS 14.0. Um, so, its very first version. Um, I actually, until about a year ago, didn't know that the iPad Airs shipped with 14.0. I thought they shipped with 14.1. Um, but then I remembered, which I should have remembered, my final year of high school in 2020, um, during the serious COVID lockdowns. I remember middle of September, they just announced iPads first. So they announced this iPad Air 4th Gen alongside the iPad 8th generation, alongside the official release of iOS 14. And then the iPhones weren't officially announced until October. And um, the I believe the standard size 12 and the standard size 12 Pro came out at the same time, late October of 2020, and then on the 12 Mini and the 12 Pro Max came out in November of um, 2020, which I remember. But I forgot that the iPad Air 4th Gen and the iPad 8th Gen were launched earlier, which means they started with iOS 14.0 versus the iPhones didn't ship until iOS 14.1. So I'm like, oh, cool. I want an iPad Air 4th Gen on iOS 14, but hoping I can get one on iOS 14.0. That would actually be pretty cool. And then I found one on eBay for well over $400, and I had it in my watch watch list for a while. And then the seller thought, well, all right, no one's going to buy it for this price. I might as well list it as an auction. So then I bid, and I got it for around $250. So, and which was a miracle because um, I haven't been able to get too many devices recently. So I did everything I could to get this iPad in my collection because I'm sure there are other iPad Air 4s on iOS 14.0 out there, especially probably brand new. Um, but yeah, I definitely didn't want to let this one slip away. Um, so really cool that I have this one, and I actually sold my iPad Pro on iOS 12, 11-inch first gen on iOS 12.3.1. I would have had a bad battery. I actually sold that one to help me get this one. So pretty much a trade. I think it was a good trade, and I hope to obviously get another because there are several iPads I need. Um, First of all, I need the 12.9-inch first gen on iOS 9, ideally 9.1. I'm watching a really expensive one. I let a few slip away on eBay for a lot less, and I kind of regret it. And also some 12.9-inch. I need the second gen on iOS 10. I let one slip away because I didn't have the money for it. It sold this past March for like $207, and I didn't have the money for it. I even offered the seller to hold it for me so I could buy it in there in the future for more, and unfortunately, didn't respond, and then it sold like a week later. So I'm sure they're out there on Superbuy as well, and I know I'll have one day. And then I need another 12.9 inch first gen on iOS 12. I need an M2 iPad Pro 11 inch fourth gen on iOS 16. I had one. I sold that one too. And then as well. And then a few older iPads, like a white 4th gen on iOS 6, a white May 1 on iOS 6. So yeah, and then an iPad 1st gen, a Wi-Fi and cell newer on iOS 3. But really cool to have this one, and I finally have an Air 4. Oh, I also need an iPad Mini 6th gen on iOS 15. Doesn't have to be 15.0, but any version of iOS 15 would be cool. Since I do have a 13 Pro Max on an iPhone 13 Pro Max on iOS 15.0. So, but really cool. App support, just kind of moderate, as iOS 14 is almost six years old, since now it's 2026. It's kind of crazy how I guess 6 long years have gone by since 2020. But really cool. iOS 14 was still on the simple iOS era, when iOS 15 and 16 really brought some more big changes. But iOS 14 was very simple. It brought just some new features. Well, maybe you can't do I thought you could slide over and have an app library. Maybe that wasn't until iOS 14.1. I could be wrong on that. But iOS 14, the clock was kind of weird. Setting an alarm. This was quite pathetic. To set an alarm, you had to literally just type it in instead of just scroll what time you want. And to set the alarm for. And they changed that back to the old way, where you'd scroll the time you want instead of type it in iOS 15, because that was quite annoying. That was a downgrade. What else did I want to actually set it? But yeah, so really cool. And this is the first iPad Air that brought the gesture-based iOS system instead of the home button. As obviously the iPad Air 1st gen, 2nd gen, 3rd gen was on the 10.5 inch, and then the iPad Air 4th gen here, first one without the home button. So, and then of course the 5th gen had the M1, 6th gen M2, then M3, M4, and they've pretty much been updating the iPad Air every year now. So, so really cool. iOS 14 app support is pretty moderate. Most that require most they are obviously outdated, but still offer an older version of the app. So as iOS 14 isn't extremely limited, but it's officially, I believe, legacy. So but it is still pretty usable, as Apple is still giving iOS 15 some updates here and there for iPhone 6s users, which is crazy. And sometimes there's an iOS 12 update for iPhone 6 users or 5s users. So iOS 14 right now is still usable, but most apps are going to be outdated. So but I was able to get some old games here, like 2048 Labyrinth, which is an oldie. Twisty Road, still cool. and Geometry Dash, and of course Temple Run. And so really cool. And I just wanted to show off this iPad, and I'm hoping to get some more devices this summer. But yeah, peace out, everybody.